Okay, welcome back everybody. At the end of our last video, we had made this line drawing of a human eye. And now we're going to talk about how to shade this. Now, you've already learned how to use weighted pencils, the H's and the HBs, to make really beautiful shading, hopefully. If you haven't, I'll catch you up. But remember the rules. Whenever you want to shade something beautifully, you keep that pencil sharp. You keep the motion of the movement small. So we don't want a big, large motion like this. We want very small. Little circles are good, or little lines are good. And we're going to build up layers from the lightest layers to the darkest layers to make velvety, beautiful looking shading. And even if you have a substandard, or meaning bad, line drawing to begin with, which I would argue this isn't the greatest line drawing I've ever done, so I can still make this an amazing drawing if my shading is done well. So hopefully we'll be proving that right now. So what I'm going to do, each of you is going to get a full value. Full value means we have all the shading from the very lightest areas to the very darkest areas showing on this picture. And if you're like, Miss Sue, you're crazy, we can't shade that, don't be crazy, I'm here to tell you, you really can. It's all about breaking it down, relaxing, and giving it the time and the observation that it really takes. So what I did was I took this shaded picture, I put it into Photoshop, and Photoshop helped me break apart the different light and dark areas into shapes with hard edges. So for example, on this picture, you can see that this is the lightest area of this, in this shape right here. The light is in the middle, gets a little darker, and very dark. Very light, darker, darker, darker. And in this picture, it's broken it up into separate shapes that make it a little bit easier to see. So this is going to help us draw, even though you could leave it looking more like this, or you could just blend this a little more, and that will end up looking like that, okay? Now, as a reminder, we do not smudge. Please do not smudge. Smudging is really for charcoal, or if you don't know how to shade properly. But y'all are gonna know how to shade properly because I'm teaching you. Okay, we're just gonna start with one area. We are gonna start with this part of the eyeball, the white of the eye. You'll notice it's actually not white. It's not even the very lightest area. The very lightest area of this picture is over here in the highlight, a little bit over here. See how it says a 1? That means it's the lightest. It's really, the very lightest part is got a little bit of shading. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade this whole entire area with that level of shading, because I'm going to do this, then I'm going to make this part darker, then this part darker, and so on. So let's start with the very lightest. I'm going to use my 2H pencil. I've laid out my pencils from light to dark. If you want to pause, 2H, H, HB, B, 2B, 4B, 6B. This is the light end. So I'm going to pick this up and holding my pencil back a little bit with a nice sharp point, I'm going to shade this whole area in right here very lightly. Now, I'm going to try to go kind of quickly. There is no rush for you, and I'll probably end up speeding this up. But I'm making this whole area just shaded lightly because later I'll build up darker layers on top of it. Okay, cue the music. Okay, so what I want to show you here, I'm going to lift this up because I'm not even sure if the camera can pick up how light this is. I did a whole, even though when I look at this picture, inside here it's darker, Only this section is that light, but I took this whole big section and I laid down the lightest value underneath everything, right? So that's how I'm going to start. Now, I'm going to take this, I'm going to look at this picture and say, what areas need to stay that light? only this little shape right here where it says number 2. And I can even see where it's located because I put that halfway, those lines are in there, right? So it's almost like close to a triangle. What is that, a trapezoid? So now I'm going to shade everything except for that shape right there. The next step darker. What is the next step darker from my 2H, you ask? That's right, the H. So now I'm going to pick up my H pencil, which is going to give me a darker line. I could even, let's see if you can still see that. Okay, I'm going to just very, very lightly give myself this shape. I think it hits right about here. Again, doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to draw this very lightly, so I'll hold it up to make sure you can see it. See how I drew a line right here to sort of be this line. So I don't want to reshade over that, but everything else inside of there does get one level darker. So now cue the music as I'm just going to come right up to that little line I made. I don't want to make it a really harsh line because I sort of want it to blend, but everything around it is going to get the next darkest light layer of shading. So you can see I am not rushing. Now, if I'm really honest with you, I would be going much slower if I wanted absolutely the best shading ever. But this is going to be reasonable. Like, it's not going to be terrible. So we're going to go with it. And I don't want to work on this drawing, you know, until I'm 100 years old. So I'll probably fast forward through a lot of this. Okay, so what I did was I left just that section the very lightest shade, and I took my next darkest pencil, the H, and I went over everything else because everything else is going to be darker than that. Now I'm going to refer back to this picture, and I'm going to look at what parts of what I just shaded stay, oops, this color. Okay, well, let's look at it. This stayed the number 2 value, the second lightest. Then there's this weird shape right here. That stays the value that we just did. So I'm going to draw that little shape in lightly as well. So it looks like it goes all the way to about here. It's got a little knob. And then it comes up like this. Again, this does not have to be perfect. And you're going to draw this very, very lightly. You might not be able to see it, but I'm going to hold it up so you can see it better. And then this actually comes down. Kind of like that. Okay, do you see this line that I just made? It's kind of like this one right here, right? Fix that a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to pick up my next darkest pencil, which is the HB. And sometimes if it doesn't feel like I'm getting enough darkness, I'll hop ahead to the B or even the 2B. But let's see how this feels. I'm going to leave this area, the second shade, and I'm going to make only this part darker, just like this is darker than this, okay? Think of it, I want you to think of this as like a puzzle that you're putting together. And know that it does take concentration and it does take time. And a tool that I use all the time is to squint. If you squint at the thing you're drawing, you can pick up the light and dark areas. We are simply just drawing shadow shapes right now. We don't care that it's an eyeball or that it's an object. We're reducing it to just shapes. That's all we care about right now. So I don't want you to be thinking, well, this isn't what an eye looks like, Miss Sue. Like, just that kind of labeling is your brain just freaking out and making you sad. So you have to take control of your brain, okay? So okay, so now you can see that I left this kind of wishbone shape. I left that the value before, and I just darkened everything else, including all these bits, because I know everything else goes darker. And then finally we have this shape right here where it says 4, and I'm going to try to draw that in. Oh, well, wait. Yeah, I already have that drawn in. So now I'm going to come down here where there's this darker area, which is like a 5. So this is like the 3, this is the 4, and there's a little shape in there right here. And I'm just going to put that in as best I can. So there's another little dark area that I'm going to put in right underneath my 4. All right, and after I did that shape right there, now this area right here is super dark and it goes right up into here. So now I'm going to I think I'm going to hop right to my darkest one because I want this to go even darker. But I don't want to like push too hard. I want to build it up so that it doesn't get weird and shiny. But this is going to be what's left over is my darkest area. See this shape? Sometimes if you feel lost, you can actually like put your finger on it or put a pencil on it so that you don't lose where you are. Okay, so what I want to emphasize to you is try to trust the process. Do not think this is an eye, this is an eye, this is an eye. Okay, so I have my lightest area, my next lightest area, my next darkest area, my very darkest areas. Is it exact? No. Am I going to worry about that? Not at this point. I'm going to work my whole drawing about this level of finish, and so that I can make changes as I go. I have other tools that I can use, like kneaded erasers, where I can pull, because I feel like this got a little dark right here, so I might want to pull it up a little. One more thing I want to show you, but if you can squint your eyes at this, you can see how it's starting to be as smooth as that. It's just got some hard edges in it. So you're going to use this piece of paper that I give you. Do your best working around these different areas to draw in these shadow shapes. I'm here to help you. You got nothing to lose. I ain't gonna be mad at you if it looks terrible, right? That's just part of art. Now, one last thing that I'll tell you is that you don't want to make these lines too hard that you're drawing, these shapes, because later, watch how I soften this. I'm going to take my HB pencil, and just by going over it, I'm going to blend it so that it's not such a hard line. And then you can compare it to the bottom. I'm just going to blend it later. We're not going to do this right. I just want to like show you where we're headed with this. I'm going to blend away that hard line right there, so that now it becomes a lot more like this picture where it's softened. And I do that by just going over the line just so lightly, and I'm obscuring that hard edge. Obscuring means hiding it, right? So you can see the difference between this and this. I'll do it up here too. That hard line, it's not really there. So I'm going to go over the top of it. And now I might need a darker pencil, but I'll try my HB first. And I'm going to obscure or hide or scribble over that line just enough. I'm going to need a darker pencil. I'll try my 2B. And I'm just softening over that, feathering it out so that I don't really see that line anymore. And that's going to help us have that nice blended feeling. And it's going to make it look just that much better. I don't know, this might seem like a lot right now, but I hope that you will just keep on trying it. Let me help you. Don't get frustrated. Don't give in. to your brain being chicken and afraid. Like, you need to be stronger than your brain at this moment so that you can learn a new thing. You know what I'm saying? You can do it. I'm not smarter than you, I promise, and I can do it. So, okay, so you can see how we can start to soften our shading, but the first part is to make those shadow shapes, okay? So, I'm going to give you this picture, I'm going to give you this picture, and you're just going to go for it, and we're going to see how that works. Okay, thanks for popping by.